Thank you very much. Great to be here. I'm here to talk about what a lot of speakers have mentioned several times today, which is pre-competitive or collaboration, the value of cooperation for sustainable development. I'm here representing a seafood initiative called SeaBOS. For those of you who don't know us, it's short for Seafood Business for Ocean Stewardship. It consists of 10 of the world's largest seafood companies working together to solve some of the key environmental, social issues of the sector. And I'm going to start my presentation today with just briefly, where are we now? And what is really the business case for sustainability? I think it's increasingly clear for everyone that there is a business case for sustainability. That was not necessarily the case 5 years ago. It's changing rapidly, and that's very good that is on the agenda even more. Why collaboration, and why specifically industry collaboration? How can that contribute to value and sustainable development? I will use the story of SeaBOS as an example here that I hope can inspire also the tourism sector to engage even more in collaborations and industry collaboration globally. And I will finalize with some key takeaways and potential ways forward for tourism as well in terms of collaborations. So where are we now? It's a grim picture. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Guterres, is very clear. We are not on track to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals. Whether it's on Goal 5, gender equality, or whether it's on 15, life on land, we are behind. We are not where we should be. We need to do more. There's a lot of great work happening, obviously, but we really do need to do more, and it has to happen faster. The interesting part here, though, is also his mention of collaboration with business, and that business has a key role to play. Business and the key CEOs in the world, collaboration with them is crucial to reach both the SDGs more generally, and in particular the climate action work we have in front of us. So business has a key role to play. Sectors has a key role to play in really addressing their sustainability issues to move forward the global agenda. And why is this? I think it's increasingly clear that, for example, climate change impact is not something we can wait to see if it's happening. It's already there. We see supply chain interruptions. It's been on the agenda now for a couple of years through the COVID pandemic, but also extreme weather events causing safety hazards in operations, human rights and labor concerns. We have public health issues, food safety concerns really climbing on the agenda this past year in particular. Very important topic, obviously. We're seeing the biodiversity decline, limited access to resources, and all of this is happening now, and we need to address this head on. Last week, there was a report by the IPCC coming out summarizing all the climate science coming out from the IPCC the past few years. The synthesis report. It's 8,000 pages long. It's a heavy read, but the conclusion is very clear. We need to act now, and we really need to scale solutions. And this is what collaboration is really about. Scaling solutions, finding the key bottlenecks, opportunities for industry so that we can collaborate and not only compete in the same pond, but actually increase the size of the pie that we compete on. So it's a win-win. So there are many ways to collaborate, and there are many reasons to collaborate. I will specifically mention pre-competitive collaboration. What is it? This is what SeaBOS is. It's an industry collaboration, as mentioned. But typically, it's a group of companies coming together within or across industries to drive sector-wide change. And take joint actions on a shared problem or opportunity. Typically, this shared problem or opportunity is within social or environmental dimensions. And of course, it's in a pre-competitive context. You're not addressing competition issues at all, obviously. You have to comply with antitrust laws. This is critical. But really working on the key bottlenecks and opportunities that are joined for the sector can cause some good benefits. And positive impacts. And when does this make sense, really, to do this industry collaboration? I mentioned systemic bottlenecks. It could be, for example, that your labor chains are non-transparent. It could be a specific challenge on human rights in the supply chain for an industry. And a typical example here would be the clothing industry and a factory in Bangladesh. It's been in the news many times. There's a lot of challenges around that. So a supply chain issue that everyone is struggling with. How can you really collaborate and solve that issue? Developing industry standards. This is not something that a company can do alone. It's not necessarily something that a sector can do alone either, but it's a multi-stakeholder approach to really develop a standard, such as for Scope 3 in greenhouse gas accounting. That's the supply chain. Emissions. Typically, it's between 60 to 95% of the total emissions of a company. So it's a critical thing to solve. But we don't have all the standards needed. We don't have the greenhouse gas accounting in place enough specifically for all industries to make this happen fast enough. So that's also an area where industry collaboration makes sense. You can scale innovations and business models. If something is working someplace, why not really scale this? And again, increase the size of the pie, working together to really use what we see is working. It was mentioned in the panel here, the social license to operate, or NIMBY, not in my backyard. This is a typical issue, say, for everyone's for renewable energy and for clean energy, but you don't necessarily want a wind turbine in your backyard. This issue is something that you, as an industry, you can also collaborate to improve your reputation, to build trust with local communities. Joint financing innovation platforms is another benefit, and engaging in policy advocacy. I'm going to use SeaBOS as an example here. Again, this is a science business initiative in the seafood industry. It was started by scientists at the Stockholm Resilience Center. They started talking with these big global companies back in 2012, I believe it was, and it culminated in the establishment of SeaBOS in 2016. SeaBOS has a significant size in the industry. It's close to 20% of the global seafood production, represented by the 10 companies in SeaBOS, trading across 500 species. So biodiversity impact right there, 95 countries where the companies have operations, 100,000 employees altogether from the SeaBOS companies. So this is a big impact. And the thought behind this was keystone actors. For those who are familiar with this in biology and environmental science, a keystone species is an organism that has a disappropriate effect on local ecosystems. This is also maybe the case then for companies, and this is what was really investigated by the scientists who started SeaBOS. And there's some extensive science out there on it. There's also a paper I would recommend if you're interested in that concept. So the keystone actors, in this case, the 10 of the world's largest seafood companies coming together to really maximize the positive impact in their local ecosystems and in their industry. And what's the mission? And this is so important. What are we setting out to do as a collaboration? We're working on, so the mission is obviously, we're gonna work on ocean stewardship. We're working for a healthy ocean for sustainable seafood production. 10 commitments really explain what we are set out to do, and it's across reducing plastic, reducing antibiotics in aquaculture. It's improving transparency in the industry through the supply chains, reducing IUU fishing, so illegal, unregulated, unreported fishing, and modern slavery, and of course, reducing greenhouse gas emissions. But we're also going to work together to use technology that could be deployed to solve many of these challenges, develop new technology, and work together for innovation. And the way we do this, communicate, collaborate, act, science-based action, communication both within the group and also with external stakeholders. It's super important to build the trust we need and to really inform our decisions as well. And we work with strategic partners outside of the industry as well, sharing best practice to accelerate progress and scale impact. And I mentioned partnerships. We're working on different levels here. One thing is to work within your company, which is of course critical and an important first step. We're working in the operations, in the supply chains, really, walking the talk.
On the seafood industry and initiatives, we're working with other initiatives so that we're sure we're aligned on the key issues and that we can actually pull together and get there faster. We're working with national governments and we're working with international bodies as well, such as the UN. And the reason for this is, of course, policy frameworks are so important for the whole industry to really strengthen sustainability, to inform those frameworks as much as we can and contribute with information on what's working and not in a business context. Just briefly, these are just some of the things we're doing now that is hopefully driving change. The science team, they have contributed to a lot of blue papers for policy making. This is an example from the Ocean Panel. 15 of the world's leaders are engaged there. Ocean nations, it's including Joe Biden in the US. We have France, Norway, Indonesia, Australia, Chile. So a significant group really contributing to, what are the facts? How can we make ocean sustainability happen faster? In terms of operational things we're doing in SeaBOS, we have mangrove restoration initiatives in Thailand, eelgrass restoration in Tokyo Bay, and there's also co-production of seaweed with some of the salmon farms in our membership base. I mentioned transparency and tools, shaping industry norms and practice. We had our 5-year report out last year. I would encourage you to read it if you're interested in the journey of SeaBOS. It's on seabos.org. Integration of best practice in operations, meaning you're making a bigger investment in a hybrid vessel, in this case, really to decarbonize your operations. Joint industry statements is a way to also move things forward. This is on to the World Trade Organization last year, and we hope it influenced somewhat their language there in terms of scaling down harmful fishery subsidies that does not help sustainable development of industry. Developing industry tools and shaping industry frameworks. And this is SBTI was mentioned there earlier, the Science-Based Target Initiative. We've been working with them to, and WWF and the UN Global Compact to make cases from the seafood sector on how to set a climate target and experiences from setting one with the SBTI specifically. Also, lots of examples here from sustainable sourcing of seafood, etc. that could be valuable. And just to conclude, I think there's some key learnings from SeaBOS that I think could perhaps be of interest for the tourism industry as well and for other sectors. And I think one key learning is really critical, and that's CEO level commitment. It's so important. You have to have that commitment from the top to have the resources you need and the eyes on the ball, if you like, to really carry this through. Focus on a few key topics for impact. Do not try to spread your resources out too thin. Focus on tackling the big issues and do one by one if you need to, but really prioritize is very important. Transparent reporting, an important first step in establishing trust. Clarity around the why and the mission is very important as well, so that everyone knows what are we set out to do and how can we contribute. And finally, I think joint efforts can really multiply and accelerate positive ripple effects within and outside of the industry. So I think don't underestimate the value of collaboration. If you think your company or your organization is too small, go together and collaborate, because it is possible to really get even more things done when you enter into industry collaboration on these topics. So just some recommendations. Potential recommendations for the tourism sector. We heard that technology is a tango earlier today. I couldn't agree more. At the same time, you cannot wait for perfect technology or frameworks before you start. Start now, get started. That's the important thing, and action will really inform your progress. That's the catalyst. Transparency is key. Really, it builds trust, strengthens decision making. Engage actively in shaping the direction of the industry. I think that's one key element of collaboration that really it's a big value point. On local or global level, you can really push things forward. And if you contribute in this dialogue, if you understand the agenda for your industry on national, global, or local level, you can really contribute to move it forward in the right direction. Commit to sustainability leadership. It could feel like a leap of faith. I think a lot of companies feel that way, and a lot of business leaders, despite it being maybe a leap of faith, I think, collaboration helps you to spread risk and maybe also help it to have a more significant positive impact in the end. And finally, stakeholder engagement. I mentioned that as a critical point. It helps to strengthen the outcomes. It helps building the trust you need to really move and progress your initiatives. And just to conclude, many of these issues have been mentioned several times today. I'm so happy to be learning from the tourism sector as well on all the amazing initiatives going on. Nature positive solutions, that's very, I would say, cutting edge. Nature positive is still not defined. That's maybe an area where this industry can contribute to really moving that, the definition, what does nature positive mean going forward? Sourcing of healthy and sustainable food, water stewardship was mentioned, human rights and labor rights, everything related to climate, obviously, but scope 3 is the big elephant in the room that needs to be addressed. That's a very clear collaboration issue, and biodiversity protection, just to mention some possible areas for collaboration. So that was just a brief dive into SeaBOS and what we're doing in the seafood industry. If you want to learn more, this is the 5-year report I mentioned that was out last year. We will have our first progress report out this year with lots of numbers and stats on the seafood industry, hopefully, and showing that there is progress happening. So thank you very much, and I hope this could be inspiring for tourism, similar tourism collaboration going forward. Thank you.